Hello everyone. So in this class today I'm going to start a new chapter, that is chapter 22, Marine Life and Deposits. As the name, the topic of the chapter suggests, so here the main objectives of this learning of the chapter will be based on the life on the deposits which are found in the marine ecosystem. Okay, so the total area from the sea coast to the greater depth of the sea is known as marine environment, as we have learned in the previous chapter also, isn't it? So all the continental shelf, from the beginning of the continental shelf to the continental slope and the whole abyssal plain, isn't it? It's the marine environment. All the features, all the creatures which are found in that environment, it's termed as marine environment. In that ecosystem which survives, coexist, okay, so that is termed as marine environment. So large varieties of flora and fauna is found in this area, as I mentioned already, like both features and creatures, isn't it, and organisms are found in this area, both vegetations as well as animals. So it is divided into two principal realms, that is the pelagic refers and pelagic and the bethnic. Pelagic and bethnic. So pelagic refers to the open ocean environments and includes the entire mass of the water, entire mass, okay, from top to the bottom, from left to the right, the entire ocean or the sea is the pelagic environment. Now bethnic refers to the part of the ocean which is populated by the organisms. Okay, now the area in which the like larger varieties of organisms are found in the marine environment, that areas or that part specifically is mentioned as the bethnic areas. Okay, now let us further, so before we move on to the further classification, you can see over here in this area the difference of the pelagic zone and the bethnic zone has also been given. Okay, so on this side, if you see the pelagic zone, the entire mass of the water, okay, from top to the bottom is the pelagic zone. Okay, and the bethnic zone just below the continental shelf, okay, from where the continental slope begins, from that part to the bottom of the sea or the bottom of the marine environment is the bethnic zone. Okay, now let's move on to the classification or further classification of the pelagic and the bethnic zone. Okay, now the pelagic zone is further classified into two areas. One is the neritic zone and another one is the oceanic zone. Okay, now the pelagic zone only. Now this pelagic zone, okay, now this neritic zone lies in the continental shelf area. Now this is the most populated zone because here more amount of sunlight reach this area. Okay, and it led to the rise of growth of many marine animals as well as plants in this area. Okay, now the if we move further from the continental shelf area, now that is the mark or the beginning of the oceanic zone. Okay, now it is also divided into two parts. One is the photic zone and another one is the aphotic zone. Now oceanic zone, the photic zone means the area up to which the sunlight can reach in the open ocean. Okay, now beneath that area from where the sunlight cannot penetrate deeper into the ocean bottom, that particular zone is known as aphotic zone. Understood? So this is the classification of pelagic zone. Pelagic zone near the continental shelf, where more amount of the temperature variation is found. Turbulence are also found, wave turbulence are also present. Understood? And salinity is also more in amount. Okay, so in that area is the neritic zone, and here it more amount of marine population is also found. Now beyond that area, beyond that continental shelf area, let's say up to the 200 kilometer. Okay, now beyond that area is the oceanic zone. Now it is also further classified into two parts, that is the photic zone and aphotic zone. The photic zone means that part of that ocean up to which the sunlight can penetrate, okay, and beneath that area where the sunlight cannot reach, okay, deeper ocean, that part is known as aphotic zone, okay. Okay, now let's move on to the another realm, that is the Bethnic realm, and which is also further classified into two, the littoral zone and the deep sea zone. Okay, it's kind of similar with the Neritic and the oceanic province only. So here littoral zone consider up to the, you know, the continental shelf area where the huge amount of oceanic foods are available. Okay, so where it is characterized by the high and the low tide area. Okay, let's consider up to the depth of 200 meters, okay, the continental shelf area. Now apart from that, the deep sea zone is also there. Now basically in the trough and trenches, the animals which are found in the deep ocean, in the deep cracks or the trench which is present in the oceanic floors, okay, like in Mariana Trench. Now those kinds of organisms are called the deep sea zones, or those kinds of places are known as the deep sea zone. Now here the creatures which are found, or the marine animals which are found, are completely different from the completely differs from the animals which are found in the littoral or in the Neritic or in the oceanic province. They are completely different from the upper level of the oceanic animals. Now we will further move on to the modes of the marine life. Okay, now marine plants and animal can be classified into three categories, namely the planktons, benthos, and the necton. Now, as I was referring, the three modes of ocean: planktons, nectons, and the benthos. Okay, as you can see here in the diagrams also. Now, planktons refers to the smaller organisms or the microorganisms also, we can say, which exist both, okay, both flora and fauna. If it is flora, that is known as phytoplanktons, okay, and if it is fauna, then it is known as zooplanktons. Okay, now the planktons are basically, you know, are found in the shallow water up to the depth of 200 meters. So that means it is basically found in the continental shelf area, okay, and means where the sunlight can reach, okay, in that area only those kinds of planktons are vividly or readily available, okay, and they grow well in the upwelling cold currents, okay, means the currents or the sea currents, which is the sea currents or the ocean currents, which is very cold in nature, which comes from the Antarctic and the subarctic areas. In this area, the in those kinds of continental shelf area, okay, the planktons can grow well, okay. Now next comes is the necton. Now nectons are the the fish, okay, or the now, nectons are the fish, whale, dolphins, the swimming organisms which are present in the ocean. Okay. Now, those are known as nectons. Now, those nectons are, are completely dependent upon the planktons for their food. Okay. And they continuously move from one place to another in search of food. Okay. Now, next is the benthos. Benthos means those flora and fauna, both again over here also. Now they are present at the bottom of the ocean, understood. Now they can be a moving object also, or they can be immobile also, or fixed or stationary in one place. Okay, so benthos and necton and planktons are the three mode of organisms which are present in the ocean. So next is the marine vegetation, and marine vegetation primarily consists of the primitive plant and form the most outstanding of which is an algae. Okay, now the algae is I hope everyone have seen algae, isn't it, which is in and all around our place, and basically in the rainy season, isn't it, we are mostly like it's mostly visible in most of the places, isn't it. So that green or the bluish green color structure which we see. Okay, so there is no differentiation in between the marine algae and the vegetation or the land algae. It is almost very similar to each other. Okay, and it contains chlorophyll in its own body, and it's capable of doing photosynthesis also. Okay, means it's capable of making its own food, and it can grow anyway. It can grow in the animals, as well as it can grow over the plants also. Okay, so if it grows over the plants, it is called epiphytic, and if it grows on the body or the surface of the animals, then it is known as the epizoic. Okay, now they are beautifully colored, and most common of them are the blue, green, red, and the brown algae. Okay, now blue green algae are basically found in the fresh and the warm water, and green algae are also found in those area where the sunlight can reach. Okay, and lives in the shallow water, let's say less than 10 meters deeper. Sea lotus, halimeda, and the Neptune saving bros are some important example of green algae. Next is the red algae, is the most beautiful of all the sea plants. Irish moss is the best example. Brown algae is also the advanced types of algae, including familiar forms like kelp and sargassum. Okay, so those are the some of the examples which are found in the Sargasso Sea of North Atlantic Ocean. Derives the name from the sargassum. Brown algae are the important ocean resources of the iodine and potash. Okay, so this was some of the marine vegetation, students. Now we will move on to the marine deposits, and all those materials, okay, which are located at the bottom of the ocean is known as deposits. Okay, which can be brought down by the sea waves or the rivers or streams. Okay, or the waves also, and it is broadly classified into two groups. There are the terrigenous deposits and the pelagic deposits again. Now, terrigenous deposits are further classified into three types. They are the terrigenous deposits, volcanic deposits, and the organic deposits. So, as I mentioned earlier, it can be brought down by the rivers, wind, and the other agents of change. Okay, or the gradation, we can say. So, the terrigenous deposits are mainly found on the continental shelf area. Okay, and the continental slope. Okay, very near to the shoreline or very near to the coastal areas, we can say. Okay, so the large fragments of the rock are deposited near the seashore, and the finer materials like sand, silt, clay, and all, okay, will be taken far away into the open sea also, and like ultimately it will settle down, it will sediment. Okay, sedimentation will be there, but on the oceanic floor. Okay, so thus there will be a gradual decrease of the coarseness of the material from shore to the open sea. In the shore we find larger particles, and more we venture into the deeper ocean, into the open sea, the particles will become more finer. Okay, gradually the size of the particles will decrease from the shoreline to the to the open sea. Okay, so depending upon the size of the rock fragments, sediments can broadly be classified into gravel, sand, and the mud. Okay, so next is the volcanic deposits. Now, volcanic deposits are also found in the continental shelf and the continental slope area, and some are found in the abyssal plain area. Okay, now those deposits are the fragments which has the origin from the which has originate from the volcanism is volcanic deposits. Simple as that. Next is the organic deposits, means the millions of sea animals and the creatures or the plants, isn't it? They will also be present in the in the continental shelf or the slope area, isn't it? Now, eventually, what happens is one day they will die, and when they die, their cells and their skeletons will be deposited on the oceanic floor. Okay, now the deposits of the deposits of the dead animals, okay, or the marine animals, are considered as the organic deposits, so next is your pelagic deposits. Okay, now today we will end our class over here, students. In the next class I will be discussing about the pelagic deposits. Let's keep this topic for the next class. Okay, so I hope I was able to clear some of the topics here, and I hope you were able to understand. If not, then you can text me in the group or here also. Thank you, students.